Is it me, or is Michael Bay adding more camera techniques under his tool belt? Because this movie had a ton of drone shots. And as you expect from any Michael Bay film, this had a lot of explosions as well. And you know what? I ain't complaining. You know what? I don't care what people say. I'm a Michael Bay fan, and he's given us great movies, just like The Rock, which is, to me, still the best movie he ever made. That movie had cool characters, laughs, intensity, motivation, fun, little drama here and there, but overall, kick-ass action sequences. And believe it or not, Ambulance had that too, but the only thing is it wasn't executed as well, but more on that later. So what can you do with a movie that's all about police car chases with an ambulance? Apparently more than you know. So Ambulance stars Jake Gyllenhaal as Danny Sharp, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II as Will Thompson, his brother, and Isaac Gonzalez, the paramedic, Cam Thompson, who got caught in between this bank heist gone wrong. So the plot's pretty simple. We're introduced in the very beginning to Will, Yaya's character, who's a Marine vet, and he's on the phone trying to get medical insurance for his wife who has cancer, and it's this experimental procedure that she has to go through, but he's having trouble getting this insurance because it's experimental. As you expect, he wasn't able to, so this motivates Will to meet his brother Danny, played by Jake, and he is in the middle of planning for this bank heist that's supposed to be going to be very lucrative for all parties. Obviously, he has some doubts, and there's this back and forth, and he eventually joins him because, hey, it's his wife, right? They need the money. We're also introduced to this cop whose name escapes me at the moment, but he is trying to get a date with one of the bank tellers as they were robbing this place, which is pretty crazy, I know. But then he gets caught in between all of this mess, and the whole crap just falls out the window, and there you go. That's the movie. It's just adrenaline rush from there on. You know, the first 10 minutes, I would say, is just like a little bit of character introductions between Will and Danny and the cop, and even Isaac's character Cam. From then on, kid you not, a 2-hour 16 movie. It's like from then on, it's all adrenaline pumping, balls to the wall, ass kicking, you know, car chasing, ambulance chasing in this case, movie. So that's pretty much the plot. So they're good. The acting is actually pretty solid all the way throughout, from the 3 characters to all the supporting cast, but really the story is about these 3, and you follow them throughout the entire movie. You know, as I mentioned before, there's a lot of action sequences, and it's an adrenaline rush, and that's actually why you go watch a Michael Bay movie in the first place. I don't think he's ever known for drama, and I don't even think he's made any dramatic movies before. There's some drama in his movies, but they're really tailored to more the action junkies like myself. And in this movie, there's actually a little bit of that, and lo and behold, surprisingly even, that there's some humanity in it too, some human spirit, and that is something I don't recall ever being in a Michael Bay movie, but it is a welcome addition, so I appreciated that. But as I mentioned before, you come here for the Michael Bayisms, whether that's the explosions, shootouts, the crazy chases, the crazy fireworks type explosions. It's kind of weird how everything is more like fireworks. So it's like, I mean, it's a Michael Bay movie. There are definitely some cheesy dialogue. I mean, the writing is really not, you know, Oscar level or anything like that. There's the cringy jokes, which he really should stay away from jokes. I mean, some are, I kind of chuckled a little bit and even smiled, but for the most part, there's a lot of really cheesy jokes in there. And that's part of the bad I'm going to get into later. And as I mentioned in the intro, it looks like he's trying something new in his camera movements, which is the drone shots. There's, you know, in the beginning, it kind of was okay, but it was literally throughout the movie. And yeah, it's not like in every scene, but it's like there it is again, and then there it is again. And I'm like, what? Just like even when people are walking, there's a drone shot. There's a drone shot when there's a car. There's a drone shot when you're looking at buildings. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's all about the action. And Michael Bay does action well. There's other better directors there, obviously, but Michael Bay kind of just in this little pocket, of action directors, and you can really tell that it's made by Michael Bay just by the explosions alone, the shootouts, the crazy camera angles, and all that good stuff. But it's loud, it's adrenaline rush, and I can't complain. That's why I came to watch this movie. I already automatically turn my brain off whenever it's a Michael Bay movie. So if you don't like Michael Bay and expect some kind of Oscar-worthy, deeper meaning, higher level type drama or action even, this is not it. So you came here for Michael Bay, and if you don't like Michael Bay, don't watch the movie. Now for the bad. So even though I enjoyed this movie and had a lot of fun with it, it is not the best Michael Bay movie. It's not in my top 5 list of best Michael Bay movies. That top is still reserved for The Rock. And then, as I mentioned earlier, there's cringe dialogue and jokes, which is at this point a staple of a Michael Bay movie. You can't really be without it. I don't recall any movie that he's made where it wasn't there. There's always at least something. And like I said earlier too, it's kind of like hit and miss. It's more miss than hit. But yeah, there's a couple chuckles here and there. But for the most part, it's kind of like a MCU movie where when there's an intense scene, they put a joke in there. Where in this case, it's got many of that, and it kind of throws me off a little bit and gets me out of the intensity of the sequence. But I'm pulled back immediately by it because, at the end of the day, it's still an action movie. And I just thought that was just kind of crazy and weird. But it is Michael Bay. 2 major flaws, I think, that really brought this movie down, in my opinion, is 1, the drone shots. I mentioned that earlier, and probably tired of hearing it from me by this point, but it's just too much. It's like I said earlier, when people are walking, there's a drone shot. A car passes by, there's a drone shot. Just look at buildings, there's a drone shot. It's tired. It's like, use it for maybe 1 or 2 scenes and that's it. In the beginning was fine, but I'm surprised it was almost in every scene except for the ending. And that was reserved for his traditional ones, which is the skirt is what I call it, up the skirt shot. Although there obviously wasn't any females here, where aside from Isa, she's like the eye candy of the movie, and there's probably got to be at least one of that with a Michael Bay movie, by this point. But yeah, it's those shots. Like I said earlier, you will just know it's a Michael Bay movie, and it is what it is. It's his style. It's just the drone shots. I think he should take that out and just use it very sparingly if he wants to use it again. There's even his rotation shots, like in Bad Boys 1 and 2. There was a point where it just got too dizzy for me. And speaking of being dizzy, my second gripe is the shaky cam. Yeah, shaky cam is nothing new with him. He uses it in chase scenes, and it's okay to a point, but it was just too much in this movie for some reason. Even at the point where people are talking, it's like there's shaky cam. I'm like, why is there shaky cam? Not as bad as Snake Eyes, but dang, this is way too much. And as I mentioned earlier, I was starting to get dizzy, and I almost really wanted to drop out. I really wanted to leave the movie theater for that reason. And whenever I do that before the movie ends, that's a sign of a really horrible movie. But what really saved it is just the action itself. It's still pretty breathtaking. It's nerve-wracking and intense, and I still appreciate it for it. But that really forgave all those camera movements and shaky cam. But still, at the same time, I wish it wasn't there. And then the third one, and not really as bad as the shaky cam and the drone shots, but the runtime is just way too long, in my opinion. I think for an action movie, especially something like this, should be an hour and a half at least, to probably an hour and 45 minutes tops. Keep it tight, keep it solid. Actually, there was a point in the movie where it started to kind of deviate a little bit from the story and kind of add that extra layer of action sequence. I guess it's like 2 stories in one, and he kind of does that a lot too towards the third act. It's usually when it happens. It's like a weird shift. Like, for instance, Bad Boys 2, you got a very centered plot about the drugs and all that in the movie, up to the third act when Will's sister was kidnapped and they went to Cuba, and it's been a minute since I've seen that movie, but it's United States. And then now he has to enlist all these special forces guys and all the SWATs. They all like have this extra mission now. It's like 2 missions in one movie. It's kind of weird. I mean, I like it because it lends to the action. However, story-wise, I mean, it just went out the window. You know, you got the main story and then a new story later on. So I had to kind of dock it down for that because, you know, it's really throws you off. Overall, it's consistent as far as the action is concerned. Other than that, really, that's all I can talk about with this movie. It's very basic in the plot and the story. Saw the trailers, I was kind of hesitant about watching this movie because I'm like, what can they possibly do with an ambulance chase movie that's over 2 hours long? And they pulled it off. But as I mentioned earlier, I wish they cut down the runtime maybe by 30 minutes. That would have kept it solid and to the point. Kind of like use the drone shots sparingly and all these camera movements sparingly. And yeah, I mean, I can't really dock down for the Michael Bay flaws as in the cringy jokes or anything like that because that's a Michael Bay movie for you. That's his style. But at the end of the day, I still enjoyed myself. I still highly recommend that you watch it at least once. If you really don't like Michael Bay, then perhaps wait in streaming and then watch it then. But at least give it a chance because you never know. You might actually get surprised. You might actually like it more than I would. Anyway, that's my review of Ambulance. If you enjoyed this video, as always, smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet and ring all notifications. And until the next video, stay casual.